application is 212 Markham LLC. The representative is EPD Solutions Incorporated. We're going to open the public hearing at 9:43 a.m. and hand it over to staff planner Jackie Vega for the staff report on this one.
Agenda item number 3.1, ZAP 1080HR25 is a proposal to construct 4 industrial buildings with mezzanines totaling 1,129,894 square feet on 60.86 acres. The applicant also proposes changing the site zoning from C2, which is general commercial, and BP business park to business park. The applicant also proposes dividing the 60.80 acres into 4 separate parcels. The site is located within the city of Hemet, southerly of Acacia Avenue, westerly of Sanderson Avenue. The site is located within the Hemet-Ryan Airport influence area, zones B2, C, and D, where zone B2 does restrict non-residential intensities to 100 people for the average, 300 people for the single, 100 people for the average, and 300 for the single for zone C, and 200 for the average and 800 for the single in zone D. Again, the site is split between 3 separate zones, B2, C, and D. The site is a total of 60.80 acres, and it is a proposal to construct 4 industrial buildings with mezzanines totaling 1,129,894 square feet. So again, we do calculate intensity using the building code method. So because it is on separate parcels and separate zones, we're gonna go on parcel. Parcel 1, zone C, which is 2.15 acres, accommodated 92 people, resulting in 43 people for the average, which is consistent with the zone C criteria of 100. Parcel 1, zone D, is 34.72 acres, accommodating 1,381 people, resulting in 40 people, which again is consistent with the criteria of 200 for zone D. Parcel 2, zone B2, which is 38.11 acres, accommodated 350 people for the occupancy, resulting in 43 people for the average, which is consistent with the zone B2 criteria of 100 people for the average. Parcel 2, zone C, which is 1.01 acres, accommodated 6 people for the occupancy, resulting in 6 people for the average, which is consistent with the C criteria of 100. Parcel 2, zone D, which is 2.34 acres, accommodated 110 people, resulting in 47 people for the average, which is consistent with the zone D criteria of 200. Parcel 3, zone C, which is 6.95 acres, resulting in an occupancy of 312 people, resulting in an average of 45 people, which is consistent with the zone C criteria of 100 people. Parcel 4, within zone C, there was 5.36 acres, accommodating 198 people, resulting in 37 people for the average, which is consistent with the 100 average allowed in that zone. And the second method that we use to calculate the intensity is the parking code method. The site does propose 210 truck spaces, 1,141 car spaces, and 2,492, accommodating 2,492 people, resulting in 41 people for the average, which again is consistent with the average for all zones. We also calculate the single acre intensity using the building code method. This is also parcel and zone based. So for parcel 1, zone C1, within that single acre square, there was 20,890 square feet of warehouse area, 5,000 square feet of first floor office area, and 5,000 square feet of second floor mezzanine area, office mezzanine area, resulting in 92 people, which is consistent with the zone C criteria of 300 people for the average. for the single. For the parcel one zone D area, within that single acre square, there's 38,560 square feet of warehouse area, 5,000 square feet of first floor office area, and 5,000 square feet of second floor office mezzanine area, resulting in 127 people, which is consistent with the single acre criteria for zone D of 800. For parcel two, zone B2, within the single acre square, there's 38,560 square feet of warehouse area, 5,000 square feet of first floor office area, and 5,000 square feet of second floor office mezzanine area, resulting in 127 people for the single acre, which is consistent with zone B2 criteria of 300. For parcel two, zone C, there's 2,866 square feet of warehouse area within the single acre square, resulting in 6 people for the single acre criteria, which is consistent with the 300 allowed in that zone. Parcel two, zone D, there's 29,820 square feet of warehouse area, 5,000 square feet of first floor office area, and 5,000 square feet of second floor office mezzanine area, resulting in 110 people for the single, which is consistent with the allowed amount of 800 for zone D. For parcel three, zone C, there's 38,560 square feet of warehouse area, 5,000 square feet of first floor office area, and 5,000 square feet of second floor office mezzanine area, resulting in 127 people for this single, and it's consistent with zone C criteria of 300. For parcel three, zone C, there's 38,560 square feet of warehouse area, 5,000 square feet of first floor office area, and 5,000 square feet of second floor office mezzanine area, which is 127 people for the occupancy, which is consistent with that zone of 300. We also reviewed the project for noise. The Hemet Ryan Airport Land Use Compatibility Plan depicts the site as being located within the 60-65 CNEL contour range from aircraft noise. Office and industrial uses are identified as normally acceptable within this range. However, staff is recommending a condition to incorporate noise attenuation measures into the design of the proposed office areas to such extent as may be required to ensure that the interior noise levels from the aircraft operations are at or below 45 CNEL. The project does exceed the FAA threshold for height obstacle obstruction for the Hemet Ryan Airport. The applicant submitted Form 7460-1, and the FAA OES has assigned aeronautical study numbers as seen on screen, and a final determination letter was issued on October 4th, 2024, indicating that the project would not be a hazard to air navigation as long as the project complies with the requirements set forth, and additional conditions to building 2, 3, and 4 to be marked, lightened in accordance with FAA Advisory Circular 70/7460-1, M, obstruction, marketing, and lighting, red light chapters 4 and 5, red and 15. The FAA OES conditions have been incorporated into the conditions listed below. The FAA recommends basins located within 10,000 feet from the runway be designed and operated as to not create above ground standing water, which could attract hazardous wildlife. The project is located 1,081 feet away from the runway and therefore would be subject to the above requirements. The project includes a bioretention basin totaling 77,803 square feet in Zone D, and pursuant to the study, Wildlife Hazard Management at Riverside County Airports, dated October 2018, a study by Mead and Hunt, such basins are permissible in Zone D when vegetation is selected carefully so as to not provide food, shelter, nesting, roosting, or water for wildlife. The project also utilizes underground basins totaling 124,134 square feet, which would not contain any surface water or attract hazardous wildlife, and therefore would not constitute a hazard to flight. The project has been conditioned to be consistent with the basin criteria, as well as providing a 48-hour drawdown of the basins. Pursuant to the Hemet Ryan Airport Land Use Compatibility Plan, the project is located within compatibility zones B2, which is 8.77 acres, C, 14.88 acres, and D, 37.23 acres. and projects greater than 10 acres would normally designate area as ALA qualified open area that could potentially serve as emergency landing areas. Open space requirements have already been satisfied under additional compatibility policy 2.4 for zones B2 and D. However, since the 60.86 acres project is located in the easterly area of zone B2 of the policy 2.4, it states that open land requirement is still applicable to individual projects and therefore is required to provide 20% of open area for zone C. Based on the project size located within zone C, 14.88 acres located within zone D, the project is required to provide a minimum of 2.97 acres of open area consistent with ALEC open area criteria. The applicant has provided a total of 10.51 acres of open area within the drive aisles and parking areas. These areas are conditioned to maintain a minimum shape of 75 feet in width and 300 feet in length, and shall be kept obstacle and obstruction free per ALEC open area definition. No objects greater than 4 feet in height with a diameter of 4 inches or greater. The applicant also proposes to change the site zoning from C2 General Commercial and BP Business Park to Business Park. The proposed amendments would be as or more consistent with the compatibility plan, as long as the underlying development is consistent with the compatibility criteria. With that, staff recommends that the change of zone be found consistent with the 2017 Hemet Ryan Airport Land Use Compatibility Plan and the site development review and tentative track map be found consistent, subject to conditions included herein. This does conclude my presentation, and I'm available if the commission has any questions.
Are there any written requests from the public to speak on this item?
Yes, we have one request to speak, and that is Roy Fails.
Good morning, lady and gentlemen. Give me just a sec to set up. I checked, they said I could do this, it's no problem. And again, good morning, my name is Roy Fails. I live 4.5 feet from the property line of this project, literally my master bedroom. You're talking about a giant clay field. Clay is nature's sponge. 60 acres of clay can hold a couple of million gallons. That's right, a couple of million gallons of water. It just soaks it in. That's why the airport has not had a lot of problem with water coming down and flooding their runway. Here's the problem. They're building 2 retention basins to catch all this water. The above ground one is 500,000 with spillways. The below ground is 1 million. 2 weeks ago, it rained 1.45 inches of rain, spreading that over 60 acres. They're 800,000 gallons off. Now, just like this week, previous week, and the week before that, you get back-to-back storms. Your requirements are 48 hours, that top one has to completely dissipate. It's wintertime. That's when it rains here. It's going to be 90% humidity and 60 degrees. I've seen water stand there up by where the trees are on the northwest side of it, sit there for weeks. I handed out, and hopefully all of you have this in front of you, it's right in the middle of a flood zone. Do you pump water to a flood zone, or do you pump water away from a flood zone? They did a perk test on this. That's how I found out about this 2 years ago, because I've been chasing this for 2 years. Did the perk test right behind my house. The perk test failed. I stood there, played nosy neighbor, and watched the guy do it, and he told me it failed. And I said, oh good, they can't build anything here. He said, oh no, these developers can get past that real easy. Perk test is usually done 4 feet, and that's for septic. For anything with spit seepage, like this water thing that they're gonna, open water thing they're gonna do, it's supposed to go down 10 to 30 feet. I would love to see a perk test that goes down to 30 feet. The wildlife hazard thing they just had up there, I think their numbers are wrong because they say you can't have a wildlife hazard within 10,000 feet. They're saying they're 1,081 feet away, so they're good. Double check that with them, ask that question, please. All right. Real simple, the spillways on the open air water retention thing is gonna spill out. That water's gonna go into my neighborhood, underneath my house, and you know where it's gonna end up with a 5% grade? Right on top of your runway. How many small planes can you land on a runway with 3 to 4 inches of water on them? Get a hydrological engineer or whatever you need, have him really look at this, because it's a glaring problem, okay? I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions for the speaker?
All right.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I gave Mr. Sanchez my card with my phone number on it. If you want to call me and hear the 15-minute version of this, because I only get 3, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, do we have any other speakers?
No other speakers.
Is the applicant available to address any of these concerns?
The applicant is on.
Available, okay. Staff,
I get flustered when I'm up there. Thank you.
With regards to the general engineering of drainage, as the commission knows, the ALAP is not responsible for that. It would be the local jurisdiction. In this case, the city of Hemet. My suggestion would be to take those comments to the planning department and have them investigate a little bit more, especially the idea of flooding the airport. It's not a good idea. With specific questions regarding the wildlife hazard policy slide, it is on here. You can put it onto the screen. It does mention that the FAA policy kicks in at 10,000 feet. The project is 1,081 feet, therefore it is subject. It's a typo. So we then explained that the basins that the applicant has proposed indicates or is identified as a bioretention basin in Zone D, and as part of the adopted wildlife hazard policy by Mead and Hunt, indicates that such basins are permissible in Zone D when the vegetation is selected carefully. So the ALUC staff indicates that the basin is appropriate based on the airport zone and based on our wildlife hazard policy. Thank you.
I have a question about that.
Sure.
Right now,
Yes.
on that slide, can you show that slide with the wildlife? And that slide says the project's located 1,000 feet, it says would not be subject.
That's
to-
the typo.
Right, well, I wanted to clarify that.
Correct.
So thank you.
Okay. Any other comments, questions for staff at this time before we close the public hearing? Okay, and I'll just say that, you know, retention basins are relatively new requirements. It's kind of unique to California, the way that WQMP works, where there's an expectation that a project take all the rainwater that falls on site and stores it on site to percolate into the ground over a 48-hour period. This is something that you don't normally see in other states. The percolation rate of a property, and I think one of the faults with your argument is that on one hand you say, well, this is made of clay and absorbs a lot of water, and then on the other hand you're going to go ahead and make the argument that the site doesn't percolate, and so you have to go ahead and pick your poison, one of the two. This is not the place to do that, but I'm trying to help you sharpen your argument maybe for the next level, which is planning commission at the city of Hemet. So that's the only thing I would say as far as what you said, but other your concerns are pertinent, certainly. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing at 10:02 a.m. What is the pleasure of this commission?
Make a motion to approve staff's recommendation of consistent.
Been a motion. We have a second.
I'll second.
Been a motion and a second to adopt the staff recommendation of consistency with the airport land use plan. We're going to, any discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously with all members present voting in the affirmative. This takes us on to item 3.2. Palm Springs International Airport is impacted by this application. It's 4-1 Memorial Park Association representative is TNB Planning. We're going to open the public hearing at 10:03 a.m. and hand it over to ALUC staff planner Jackie Vega once again for the staff report.
Agenda item number 3.2,